Here's some of the fundamental concepts. We're going to do all this stuff really quickly, but we learned about the microbiome, which is that engine in the gut of bacteria that drives our children's body and brain to either healing or dysfunction. It just depends on the balance of bacteria and the condition. We learned about the intestinal wall and leaky gut, which is kind of like that cheesecloth that lets the good stuff in and keeps the bad stuff out. We learned about inflammation, chronic inflammation, and how the brain can't fully develop if all the body's energy is used to fight off those perceived threats of food and toxins. And we learned that changing, and this is from scientific studies, that changing the gut and reducing inflammation fundamentally changes the brain and can improve symptoms in autism. And last but not least, we learned about my 2R protocol. So let's jump into that real quick. All right, so the first step in the 2R protocol is to remove the food and chemicals in our children's diets that cause the biggest issues. Number one, wheat. We went through, I think there was 8 different components of wheat that cause issues in the gut and in the brain. So number one, sugar, dairy, and removing all of the pesticides as much as we can. So with sugar and dairy, it's hard to eliminate completely because they're all around. But what we can do is reduce them drastically, and that gives our kids a much better chance. All right, so the next part of the 2R protocol is the repair. So how do we do that? There's 2 parts of this. Number one is food. So we're changing the food that our children eat. Now, I realize on a slide we use the word diet. Fundamentally, this is not a diet. We aren't implementing a diet. We're implementing a new way to see food. We're implementing a lifestyle change that will impact the rest of our child's lives. You heard Nicole talk about it. She said, we've been doing this 10 years. Diets don't last 10 years. Diets last typically from January 1st to January 7th. And then, that's a diet. This is a lifestyle change. So what should we be eating? And then we said that we're going to be eating very similar to paleo with the intention of lowering inflammation. So just very simply, we're eating organic and we're shopping on the outside aisles of our grocery stores. The food in the middle, and we went over all that stuff, is not well. That's where all the toxins and pesticides are hidden inside those. And we also are not going to be afraid of the healthy fats, grass-fed butter, coconut oil, things like that. The whole 80s craze of low fat, all that did was made us fatter and sicker, and it actually hurts our children's brains. Our children and we need fat for fuel in our brains and also for our hormones. Okay, so now let's jump quickly